We are back for our daily college basketball best bets here on Sunday, March 22nd. We are down to 24 teams, and after tonight, we will be down to 16. It will be a sweet 16. No? Okay. Well, I mean, it's literally what it's called. We're going to be down to 16 teams after today's action. We've got basketball all day long, but for some reason, the NCAA decided to just put one game on at 9 today, and then one game on at noon, and then everything at night tomorrow. It's a Sunday. I just spread it out throughout the day. Why do we have 5 games going on at the same time in the night session? I don't get it. And why is the NIT today? We will talk about the NIT. We'll go over the entire bracket. I actually have one best bet involving the NIT, so that'll be in the middle of the video, but I just don't get it. I understand the NIT is structured, so they're going to play games on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then obviously the Sweet 16 happens on Thursday, Friday, and then of course you've got the Elite 8 on Saturday, Sunday, and then the NIT comes back for their Final Four, I believe, on the Tuesday after. But wouldn't you just capitalize on the fact that there are no NCAA games or tournament games on Monday? Why wouldn't you just play your games on Monday and then go, okay, yeah, just play Saturday, Monday, or just move everything back a day? Just don't play. I don't get it. You could have played the 2 games you played yesterday today and then put 8 games on Monday throughout the day. Why wouldn't you do that? It makes absolutely no sense. I don't understand it. We have no college basketball tomorrow, so on the channel we will just have our NBA best bets on the channel because, again, no college basketball tomorrow, so make sure to join us for that. The NBA video will be bumped up to this time spot tomorrow at 5 a.m., so make sure to join us for our NBA best bets tomorrow, and then we will obviously be back with our normal scheduled time for our college basketball best bets on Tuesday for the rest of the week. Obviously, NIT on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then the Sweet 16 starting on Thursday. Again, hit that subscribe button down below for more NBA best bets later today. On Greedo Plays MMA later today, our UFC fight at Seattle. Full card predictions. Israel Adesanya takes on Joe Pyfer in the main event from the Climate Pledge Arena, so make sure to join us for that. And also on Greedo Plays MMA later this week on Monday, our PFL Pittsburgh predictions. Johnny Eblin takes on Brian Battle in the main event. Real quickly, yesterday for us, it is what it is. We went 2-3. Could have had a 3-2 if that Tyler Tanner shot goes through the basket. Goes through the rim. It's absurd. Tyler Tanner hit every single part of that rim, and it just bounces out. Overinflated balls. I don't know. Maybe that was the reason. I don't know. It's just, damn, we got really close. We got really close with that one. It was infuriating because, Vandy played a good game. That Vandy-Nebraska game back and forth throughout. Again, phenomenal night. And then Tyler Tanner, barely misses that shot to potentially win the game. It is what it is. Texas outright beat Zaga. Not surprised. We called it yesterday. I was like, all right, we'll take Texas on the points, but they should beat Gonzaga outright. They do so. Illinois covers easily against VCU. Again, we will have the Illini in the Sweet 16. Those are our eventual champions. They will be dogs against Houston. I think 2.5-point underdogs they are for that game on Thursday, but I think they're going to win that game. And then obviously Duke, great second half, I guess, against Texas Christian. Every foul call went their way. It's okay. And then Michigan State continues their trend of just screwing me at any chance they get. It's okay. Just every time we bet against Michigan State, they turn into the best team in the world, and then we actually bet on them, and they suck, and they lose to UCLA in the Big Ten tournament. So why not? Why not? Do it to us again. Anyways, we move on to the first of our 5 best bets today for college basketball. We're going to kick things off with the Kansas Jayhawks and the St. John's Red Storm. Obviously, it's as good of a coaching matchup as you're going to get in Viejas in San Diego at Viejas. St. John's, Kansas, obviously Bill Self versus Rick Pitino. It doesn't get better than this. This is peak college basketball. Now, yes, our first best bet of the day is at 2 o'clock because I don't want to go plus 7.5 on Miami. I think they cover that against Purdue, but I don't think they win, so I'm staying away. Kentucky, Iowa State. I have nothing to say about that game. Iowa State wins 4.5 points. Flip a coin. We'll go over all the tournament games at the end of the video, but that's why our first game for us is at 2, because I like nothing with the only 2 games we get before 2 o'clock or 5 p.m. on the East Coast. There are 2 basketball games tipping today before 5 p.m. on the East Coast. It's a Sunday. What are we doing? I don't understand it. St. John's versus Kansas, though, is our first best bet, and I like the Jayhawks on the points. 3.5 is a lot. In a game like this, 3.5 is a lot of points. I understand St. John's is great. Kansas is really good too. And the Jayhawks, it's been an up and down year, but we know what the Jayhawks can provide at their very best. We know what this team can be when, Darren Peterson is playing like the number 1 overall pick that he should be. DeBonsta Peterson, it should be Peterson. It depends on who gets the pick, I think. But regardless, right? When Darren Peterson is playing at an elite level, there's no one who can stop him in college basketball. Right? You look at the supporting pieces, and it's dependent on the night, I know, with a Melvin Council, who in the first round only scored 4 points against Cal Baptist. Trey White will give you nights at times. Flory Badunga, again, is the X factor for this team because you know Peterson's going to show up. How does Badunga perform? Obviously down low with a massive matchup, obviously today against Zubi Ejiofor. The freshman, true freshman, Bryson Tiller. I mean, they're going to play Elmarco Jackson and maybe Jamari McDowell off the bench, and that's probably it. They obviously, it's a postseason rotation, but it's very dependent, obviously, on what they can get outside of Peterson. Because again, you know Darren Peterson's going to show up. You know he's going to give you points. How does everyone else play around him is the real question. Kansas doesn't have a great game against Cal Baptist. I mean, they go up early at halftime, and you're thinking, at half, they're up 20 points. This game's over. They're up 38-18 on the Lancers. And then in the second half, Cal Baptist and Dominique Daniels keep storming back. Dominique Daniels scores 25. Ultimately, Kansas does hold off the Lancers by 8. I think Cal Baptist, 5 was the closest they got it to. But ultimately, obviously, the Jayhawks eliminate them in a game in which Cal Baptist never led, obviously, the final Western Athletic Conference champions. Anyways, Jayhawks win. Don't love it, but Darren Peterson played well. And I'm okay with that because the rest of the team had an off night, but as long as Peterson's playing fine, I'm okay with, the rest of the team kind of rising to the occasion in this round of 32. At least that's what we expect to happen. Again, the official line on Peterson, 37 minutes, 28 points, 11 for 24 from the field, 4 for 11 from beyond the arc. It's a good game for Darren Peterson. Again, I believe he's the best player in college basketball. Yes, DeBonce is really good, and obviously DeBonce has now been eliminated by Texas, who just keeps on winning. The SEC team's the Cinderella. Ooh. I mean, we took the Longhorns yesterday. We were really grateful for their victory against the Gonzaga Bulldogs. So I've been saying all year long, Gonzaga was so overrated. That's what I get for watching the WCC all year long. My analysis on the West Coast Conference finally paid off. Watching all those crappy Gonzaga, 20-point blowouts against Pepperdine. If they find 30-point blowouts against Pepperdine, they finally pay off. Anyways, Darren Peterson is the best player in college basketball, averages 20 points per game, again, puts up 28 on Cal Baptist. This is a player, again, who just changes games, and he's a guy who, I said at the beginning of the tournament, straight up, Darren Peterson should buy you and should win you 2 games in this tournament, just because of the way he plays alone. St. John's is good. Let's not forget, St. John's did get second rounded last year, and I had very high expectations for this squad, and they ran into Arkansas in the second round, and, Coach Cal obviously beats Pitino, another really good second-round coaching matchup, and Pitino loses to, again, Cal and Arkansas by 9 points. I get it, different team, but let's not forget, the Johnnies were a 2 seed last year, and the Johnnies, a lot of people, myself included, had them going really far last year in the tournament, and they lose to a 10 seed in the second round in the Arkansas Razorbacks. I'm not saying it's a different team, I understand, but I like Kansas here. I like Kansas to win outright. I think the fact that we're getting points here is phenomenal. I will take the 3.5. Not like this matters too much, but yet technically Kansas is the high seed, the Jayhawks are the 4, St. John's is the 5. We have seen all year or all tournament long so far, high seeds are winning. I mean, very rarely do we see low seeds win. Yesterday, right, it's all high seeds winning except for Texas, right? Yeah. Michigan wins, Duke wins, Houston wins, Michigan State wins, Illinois, Nebraska, Arkansas. All the high seeds win. And yeah, Arkansas had some close moments against High Point. Nebraska, Vandy 4-5, but still Nebraska and Vandy, it was a really close game. Ultimately, high seed prevails. Only one that lost was Gonzaga, and we called that one, right? The high seeds are seeing a lot of success in this tournament. Doesn't tell the whole story, obviously, but I really believe the Jayhawks win this basketball game. I get it. St. John's really good defensive team. They started that game against UNI. Oh, what was the score? 14-0 against Northern Iowa. Again, 16-0 it was? 16-2. I think it was 13-0, 16-2. Okay. UNI doesn't score points. And yeah, UNI, Northern Iowa, was able to score points in some games against Missouri Valley teams, but that's against the Missouri Valley. They're a defensive team that, let's be honest, defensive mid-majors usually don't turn out in the tournament. It's just because, here's the thing. If you can score a lot in the mid-major level, obviously, and you play good defense, that's a bonus, obviously, right? But you need to be able to score, and let's just say it, you need to be able to hit threes if you're a mid-major. It's just the truth. You need to hit a lot of threes if you're a mid-major in the NCAA tournament. You can dominate down in the Missouri Valley playing great defense, but you can't against a Big East squad. And obviously that's where it caught up to UNI as St. John's takes the really good defensive team, which again, they are a great defensive team at the mid-major level, but obviously against St. John's, well, the Red Storm put up 47 against UNI, and the game's never competitive. UNI never has the lead in that game against St. John's, and of course, that's expected. But looking at this Kansas-St. John's game, it's going to be, what we hope, a really good offense versus a really good defense. Okay, I know Kansas did not put up many points against Cal Baptist. No one had a really good game except for Darren Peterson. I have to imagine that somebody else is going to show up today, regardless if that's Trey White or if it's Bryson Tiller in the corner, if it's Flory Badunga against Zuby Ejiofor, somebody, Melvin Council, somebody has to show up other than Peterson. Because all things considered, it's an awful shooting day for Kansas. 40% from the field, 26 to 65. But I mean, 14 of those are Darren Peterson. 12 of those are Darren Peterson. 4 for 19 from beyond the arc. All 4 threes are Darren Peterson. Peterson shoots 4 for 11. The rest of the team shoots 0 for 8. There's no way the rest of the team plays that bad again. I believe it's up to Badunga. I really think it is. Because obviously, you know what St. John's is going to do. They're going to try to give the ball to Zuby Ejiofor. Yes, there's some other players that can obviously shoot it. There's some other players that can score. Bryce Hopkins is really great. Osiah Sellers is having a good season. Dylan Darling can hurt you. Dylan Mitchell, all the starters, obviously. I mean, it's St. John's. Everyone can, hurt you. It's really going to come down to Badunga and how he deals with Ejiofor. It just is. And if he's able to at least, put up a fight, I think we're going to be okay. And it's also, again, it's the battle on the glass. Who's going to be the better rebounder? I mean, you would expect it likely to be Ejiofor, but Badunga's had his games. He really has this season. So I like the Jayhawks here. I think getting points with Kansas is a phenomenal spot. I think they're better than St. John's. When we predicted the entire bracket when we first saw the thing come out, I took Kansas to beat St. John's. It was a game that I was split on, do not get me wrong. And if this was a straight even game, I probably wouldn't put it in this video because, again, I think it's going to be really competitive. But the fact that we're getting points on Kansas gives me, again, a little bit of it gives me confidence thinking, okay, this can be a close game. St. John's can win it by 1 score, and yet we're going to be fine taking the points in the Jayhawks. So I'm going to go plus 3.5 for Kansas here. To kick off the day, I'm going to rely on the best player left in the tournament and the best player in college basketball this season, Darren Peterson, to get big-time buckets. He is a big-time player. I know the narrative around Darren Peterson is that, he doesn't like playing basketball. His heart isn't in it. He's load managing in college just to make sure he's 100% in the NBA. I'm not going to say all of those are true. The load management part likely is true. He is still one hell of a talent. And something that you can't deny on Darren Peterson, he's a big-time player. He's a big-time college basketball player, and we've seen that throughout the season. We saw it when they beat Houston at home. We saw it when they went to Lubbock and Darren Peterson hit those big shots at the end of the basketball game. They were down by 7 points with 4 minutes to go, and Peterson wills them out of Lubbock with the victory. We've seen it all year long. I understand they were great at Allen Fieldhouse this year, but Darren Peterson's a big-time player. He can win you games anywhere in the country, anywhere, on the globe. He's just that good. I think they're going to be okay. I think Kansas is going to beat St. John's in this game. But again, we will take the points since we're getting them here. Again, phenomenal coaching matchup, Pitino versus Self. But I think Kansas is going to win this one. I think Darren Peterson is obviously the best player on the court. I think the difference maker is going to be how does Flory Badunga play. I think he keeps up with Ejiofor enough to the point where neither guy, I mean, obviously we're expecting Zuby to have the better night, but I don't think Zuby's going to be that much better than Badunga. Obviously he's going to score more, but it's all about interior presence and the battle on the glass. I'm going Kansas on the points, plus 3.5 for the Jayhawks to kick off the day from Viejas in San Diego. On to our second best bet of the video, we go to almost an even money game. We move to Philly for the Tennessee Volunteers and the Virginia Cavaliers. Absolutely give me Virginia plus 100. Are you kidding me? Yes, absolutely. Oh my goodness, yes. I love it. Virginia's going to beat Tennessee. Stylistically, the Cavaliers match up perfectly with the Tennessee Volunteers. Is Jacoby Gillespie going to hit that many threes again? Is Jacoby Gillespie going to take over another game like this? Odds on no. Jacoby Gillespie might have a great game. I don't think he's going 6 for 11 from beyond the arc like he did against Miami of Ohio. I mean, that's the most threes Gillespie's hit all year long. Odds on, guys, he's not going to do it in back-to-back games. I get it. It's the tournament. It's March. Weird things happen. I get it. I don't think he's going 6 for 11 again from beyond the arc. And he was taking some crazy-ass threes. He was pulling from deep, and they were falling. But at the same time, too, Miami at points in that game were just kind of daring Gillespie to take those shots. And it was a phenomenal year, obviously, for the Red Hawks. But despite, who won that game initially, we were always planning on taking the Cavaliers to beat the winner of that Miami versus Tennessee game. Hell, again, I will say, if you watched our bracket prediction, we have Virginia going to the Final Four, and I believe it. Again, their defense is just that good. I understand the Wright State game did not prove any of my points right. They won, and obviously, again, in March, all that matters is win in advance, win and survive. And that's what Virginia did against the Wright State Raiders. I get it. Was it impressive? Jakari White was really impressive. The rest of the team, it was a struggle. What can I say? Right? Virginia wins it 82-73. That is a back and forth game. Technically, Wright State led for a larger percentage of that game than the Virginia Cavaliers, which, the runners up in the ACC, you just don't want to have that against the Horizon League champions. That's not the best. Still, though, Virginia wins. It's a back and forth game. They deal with some adversity. I will say this. Wright State was hitting some of the craziest threes you're going to see. And again, like I mentioned earlier, and with all due respect to the University of Northern Iowa Panthers, Wright State's the type of mid-major team that can go on a run in March, okay? They didn't, but hear me out here. Northern Iowa is more likely to win their conference and get to the tournament because of how they play other mid-majors. Wright State plays a no defense, fast-paced shooting competition the entire game. And obviously that's harder to get to the NCAA tournament because everyone tries to do that at the mid-major level. But if you get into the tournament, then you actually can put teams on upset watch. But UNI, they kind of have to play perfect games when they play higher ranked teams and obviously teams in March Madness if they're going to advance, where Wright State only has to get hot from beyond the arc, get some things to fall their way. Virginia misses some shots on their end, and all of a sudden the Wright State Raiders are moving on to the second round. All I'm saying again, if UNI and Wright State played, I'd take UNI to beat them. But in terms of likeliness to beat a team in March, it's probably Wright State. Again, it's all dependent on matchup, and I get it, St. John's is a tough team, but technically Virginia's better than St. John's. I think they are, but that's neither here or there. Regardless, Wright State had a really great game. They shot incredibly well from beyond the arc, 45% from three-point range. They hit 13 threes. Ultimately, Virginia plays a really good second half. Virginia locks in shooting-wise. They shot 50% from beyond the arc. And how about the performance from Jakari White off of the bench? My goodness. Jakari White averages 9 points per game this year. This is a player who was dominant last year in the Summit League with this year's Summit League champions in the North Dakota State Bison. Jakari White averaged 17 last year at NDSU. I got a chance to watch Jakari White, technically courtside, at the Levy Center in Santa Clara, California. Big whoops. Still, got to watch Jakari White play against Santa Clara last year in person, and obviously I watched the Summit League quite a bit. Jakari White can hoop. And he did that throughout 3 seasons at NDSU, dropped 17 points per game last year for the Bison, decides to go to the ACC this year, is a bench player for Virginia, started pretty much every single game he played up in Fargo, comes to UVA, bench piece, averaged 9 points per game in the regular season. Well, he turns up in the tournament. It's the best game Jakari White has played at UVA. No, it's the best game he's played in his life. Jakari White, 24 minutes, 26 points, 10 for 12 from the field, 6 for 8 from beyond the arc. What a game for the senior. It's absolutely what Virginia needed because DeRitter scored 10 points, Malik Thomas scored 11, Sam Lewis scored 12. Yeah, it was all Jakari White. Big time. And it's just the defense this team plays, though, man. And I get it. Wright State scored 73 points. Primarily, those were on long-range three-point attempts. And they shot extremely well, guys. We are not expecting that to continue. Obviously, I don't expect Tennessee to do that. And that's the thing. Styles make fights. Matchups make games. Matchup-wise, Virginia should handle Tennessee. They should. They should handle this team. Because Tennessee is going to try to drive. Tennessee is going to try to attack the basket. You know what Nate Ahmet wants to do? By the way, Nate Ahmet, first ever tournament game, how about 0 points? Ahmet scored 0. Lottery pick, top 8 pick in the NBA draft. 18 minutes, 0 points for Nate Ahmet. Felix Okpara, JP Estrella, where do those guys get all their buckets? It's in the interior. It's driving the hoop. Yeah, Jacoby Gillespie's their floor spacer. You're going to get guys off the bench like an Ethan Berg. Hell, Bishop Boswell, obviously, who starts too, is going to spread the court as well. But Ament, Okpara, Estrella, where do they want to score? In the paint. What does Virginia do better than any other team in the nation? And play interior defense, protect the paint. They've got all these bigs down low, and yes, again, the big name obviously is Ugonna Onyeso, right? Who the Nigerian senior, 7 feet tall, averages 3 blocks per game, best shot blocker in college basketball. Again, Virginia averages the most blocks shots per game in all of college basketball, as they had 5 against Wright State. Onyeso had 2, and then how about Gunrul, who had 3? Johan Gunrul had 3 blocks. Again, another absolute monster. This guy, 7 feet tall, freshman out of Germany. He averaged 2.5 blocks per game this season. You can't get shots off against this team. They just play so big, and they can go to their smaller lineups. Again, DeRitter obviously is going to play alongside these 2 bigs, but he's 6'9", a forward for them. They'll play Devin Tillis, the former UC Irvine Anteater, obviously part of the NIT runner-up team last year at Irvine. They got guys, man. But the defense this team plays, at least interior-wise, the way you beat Virginia, you just got to shoot out. You got to shoot over the top of them. You just got to, again, pull up like Wright State did all game long. You just have to have a really good game shooting. Stylistically, guys, I don't think I will. Again, it's possible Tennessee can beat them, but more times than not, just the way that both these teams function, it should be a pretty difficult game for Tennessee. Unless, again, everyone just shows up from beyond the arc. And legitimately, we see not just Gillespie show up, we see Ament have a really great game shooting. We see Bishop Boswell unload from beyond the arc. We see Ethan Berg and Amari Evans both off the bench come in and contribute and hit big-time threes. I mean, sure, there's a world where all of that happens and Tennessee's firing on all cylinders. And yeah, well, it's raining threes in Philadelphia. Tennessee advances. Yes, there's a world where that can happen. I doubt it, though. I highly doubt that's going to be the case. Again, Gillespie had a great game against Miami. Gillespie, one of the most sought-after guys in the transfer portal last year. I understand, right? Dropped 15 points per game last year at Maryland. Year before was a phenomenal scorer for the Belmont Bruins, averaging 17. Comes to Tennessee this season, has his best season, despite playing at Belmont, playing for Maryland. No, averaged 18.5 points per game this year. He's been great. Is he really going to have that great of a shooting night again, though? I mean, his three-point percentage has gone down since he was at Belmont at Maryland. He was a 34% three-point shooter this year, which isn't bad, but obviously he was a 40% three-point shooter last year. Maryland was a 39% three-point shooter over with the Belmont Bruins. Again, 34% is not bad, but he just hasn't been the same shooter this year, right? He's been great. He's been good. And obviously against Miami of Ohio, he was great. Again, though, Miami, not the best defensive team. And we were wrong on that one, obviously, but I thought, okay, Miami should be able just to, make this a shootout and force Tennessee to score a lot of points against them. I doubt, and this is Tennessee Volunteers basketball. They don't score a lot of points. Even against Miami, who's not a great defensive squad at all. They played in the MAC, obviously, scoring-wise and offensively-wise. Yeah, Miami was great. They just had a horrible shooting night against the Volunteers, which ultimately eliminated the Red Hawks. But my point with all this is Tennessee is not a very high-scoring squad. Even against Miami, they're only scoring 78 points. A low-scoring game falls right into the hands of the Virginia Cavaliers. They specialize in these. And UVA has been winning a lot of games. This team's lost 2 games since January, both of which are to Duke. And the second time around, obviously, they took Duke down to the wire in the ACC championship game. I like this UVA team a lot. I think it was an off night against Wright State. But again, the name of the game in March and the name of the game in this tournament is just find ways to survive and advance. And that's exactly what Virginia did. They survived and they're still dancing. So I'm going to take them to beat Tennessee. I think the fact that they're plus money here is a joke. I really think it is. Virginia's got too many threats defensively, I think, for Tennessee to overcome. I think the only way the Volunteers win this game is legitimately if they shoot. How many threes do they need to shoot to win this game? A lot. I don't know if I have an exact number. I think they need to shoot 30 threes and shoot at least 40%. Even then, no, that'd be a good number. If they shoot 40% on 33s, then they'll probably win. Tennessee doesn't shoot with that much volume, and they're not that great of a three-point shooting team. Even Gillespie, again, not a great three-point shooter. He's a good three-point shooter, not a great three-point shooter. Again, had a phenomenal game against Miami. Virginia's not going to give you that many open looks. Again, you just kind of need to fluke your way into out-shooting Virginia. I'm not saying Virginia's some sharp shooting team, but in terms of what Wright State did. I think we're okay here. I think Virginia plus money's great. Plus 100 for the Cavaliers. Defense wins championships, at least. Well, I hope. I know, again, I'm contradicting myself a little bit. Oh, Illinois, their offense is going to win the entire thing. Well, it is. But Virginia is good enough to get themselves to the Final Four with their defense. So give me Virginia plus 100. On now to our next best bet. And yes, we are going to the NIT. The National Invitational Tournament. 2-leg parlay with the NIT. We finally overcame the odds with the parlays the other day, obviously. Shout out to UCLA and Texas Tech. We'll have more on both those teams to close the video. Anyways, we're going to take a quick detour over to the National Invitational Tournament. With our 2-leg parlay getting you to minus 110, we're taking 2 home teams on the West Coast. Had to include some Mountain West basketball here because, well, the rest of the mid-majors are gone, so welcome back, guys. New Mexico takes on the George Washington Revolutionaries at home in the Pit in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And then we have at Haas Pavilion in Berkeley, California, the St. Joseph's, the St. Joseph's Hawks and their mascot that keeps on flapping his wings all game long. St. Joseph's is on the road in Berkeley, taking on the Cal Golden Bears. The 2-leg parlay, though, is the 2 home teams on the West Coast, or Southwest Coast. New Mexico and Cal. Both these legs and these 2 teams, just straight up money lines, obviously, will get you to minus 110. I like it enough. I do. I know we picked against George Washington the other day. I thought Utah Valley was going to be able to beat them at home, and Utah Valley, was trailing that entire contest and made a run at the very end of the game. And just like their Their loss in the WAC championship, the Wolverines fall, in a heartbreaker in the very end of that matchup against the Revolutionaries. George Washington, who has been a very awful road team this season, finds a way to go to Orem, Utah and beat the Wolverines of Utah Valley. And obviously, New Mexico is coming off their victory against Sam Houston, where if the Lobos are putting 107 points on you, yeah, you have a problem. And I'm not saying they're going to put 107 points on George Washington, but I love the offensive effort because we have struggled so many times in New Mexico this season where they just haven't been able to score points. It's been a theme for us watching New Mexico basketball games. Hell, look at their semifinal game in the Mountain West tournament against San Diego State. They score 62 points, they lose. It's a back and forth, low-scoring matchup, and the Aztecs just get the better of the Lobos. But I respect the Lobos for actually showing up in the NIT rather than San Diego State, who declined it and refused to play postseason basketball. Even though San Diego State has a real gripe for not getting in the tournament, they 100% should have been in over the SMU Mustangs, but that's neither here or there. New Mexico taking on George Washington. It is extremely difficult to win on the road in college basketball, especially for George Washington, because GW, a 4-7 team on the road this season, but it is even tougher to win games on the road in the pits. New Mexico's a really good home team. I don't think George Washington stands a chance on the road. GW hasn't faced a road environment like this yet this year. The pit will still get at least 8,000 people out for this game. And that's just, again, how Lobos fans turn up. In all fairness, like, what else are you doing in Albuquerque? I mean, I don't know. I heard there's a chicken joint that's pretty good out there. I forgot what it's called. Los Pollos Hermanos? I don't know. Their owners seemed really generous, a really kind guy. I don't know. I just came across an ad. Anyways, I'm sure he's a really great cook. I'm sure he can cook too. Chicken, right? Anyways, George Washington has not played in an environment like this. Again, I don't know what else there is to do in Albuquerque other than, again, Los Pollos Hermanos. I don't know. New Mexico should be fine here. They will have a crowd out for this game. GW, we had talked about earlier when we had the Utah Valley game. They were not a good road team this season. By the way, GW has traded wins and losses since, I believe, the national championship day, at least that was way post. February 13th. George Washington has traded wins and losses since February 13th. They have won one, lost one, win one, lost one, win one, lose one. They've done that back and forth since February 13th. If we're following a pattern here, they beat Utah Valley. Prior to that, they lost to St. Louis, obviously, in the A-10 tournament. This would be their game that they lose. It's just, it's a weird pattern they have followed since February 13th. GW as a whole this year, not a phenomenal squad, 19-15. They have not played well on the road all season. And yes, this is the toughest environment they're going to play in all year long. I mean, I guess the other tough environment was probably St. Louis or... Nope, George Mason's not a tough place to play. I've heard that crowd. Yeah, it's definitely the toughest place they've had to play all season. The pit's no joke. Especially if you're a team in the A-10 having to go to New Mexico and you don't really know about the pit that much. You don't know about New Mexico. This is a difficult game really for George Washington, and the Lobos should be fine. Again, Bujlan, we've got just a hate relationship with Tomislav Bujlan, the freshman. Every time I watch him, he sucks, but we need a game out of him. Again, the matchup's going to be Bujlan versus Rafael Castro. We need Bujlan to dominate that matchup. I think he actually can. I'm going to put some faith in that guy. Watch out for Jake Hall, phenomenal shooter. That guy, again, got fouled at the end of the San Diego State game, but whatever. Phenomenal knockdown shooter. Watch out for Dayton Albury, Uriah Tenet. Some really good players on New Mexico. They should be fine. They should easily win this game. And if they are scoring like they did against Sam Houston, they'll be fine again. GW, not a good road team. New Mexico at the pit is a whole nother animal. So that's the first half of the parlay. I would argue that's the easier part. New Mexico, minus 325 favorite and a 7.5 point favorite as well. Second leg of the parlay, Cal versus St. Joseph's. I do believe the Golden Bears are going to have just enough to get over the hump here. No, they should win this game. They should cover, honestly. 5.5 points, they should cover it. St. Joseph's, back in or on the West Coast, I have to assume. No, they definitely just stayed on the West Coast after the victory over Colorado State, and now they go to California to take on the Cal Golden Bears. It's a matchup Cal should win. They really struggled in the first half against UIC. Now, don't get me wrong, they were winning going into halftime against the Flames of the University of Illinois, Chicago, but UIC was up 7 points at one point in that first half. Ultimately, right, the Golden Bears win it by 18 points. So not that much of a sweat for Cal. We had Cal spread in that game, and obviously they won and covered. They covered the 6.5. I didn't love the first half effort though, but California ultimately shows, yeah, they can put up points on you. I mean, Chris Bell scores 31 in that game. Obviously, Day Ames is the guy we've watched all year long, the guy that we've highlighted all year long for Cal. But how about Chris Bell, the senior out of Concord, California, puts up 14 points in that matchup. Or sorry, 31. Sorry, he's put up 14 points as the average for him this year, but he puts up 31 specifically in the UIC game. And California looked good, and yes, that's what they were expected to do against the Missouri Valley team. I said it going into that game. I said, okay, I mean, I don't care, what the circumstances are. A mid-level ACC team should absolutely be able to beat the shit out of a mid-level Missouri Valley team. That's exactly what happened. Again, first half was a little bit tight, but yeah, California wins the game by 18 points, something that they are 100% expected to do. So California now moves on to the second round of this NIT tournament, where obviously the winner of this game will take on the winner of the New Mexico GW game. And obviously with this being the Albuquerque region, winner of this game is likely going to New Mexico. If not, then the winner of this game will get it at home, right? No, GW could get it at home if it's St. Joseph's. We expect Cal to win, though. Regardless, California versus St. Joseph's here. The Golden Bears are 5.5-point favorites. And although St. Joseph's looked really good at Colorado State and Fort Collins, we've seen the cracks all year long with the Rams. That's a competitive game, but a game that St. Joseph's is leading for the most part. And it's competitive in the sense that Colorado State's always trying to get back in the game. They're always competing, and they're always within 5 points. It felt like the entire game, but ultimately the Hawks win it, and they do win the game by 5 points. But still, same margin they had going into halftime. Anyways, I think they're going to run out of steam going to California. St. Joseph's, good defensive team, struggles to score in certain spots. They did go on a nice run to end the regular season, right? They had won, I believe it was 6 consecutive games going into the A10 tournament. They had beat Davidson in the first round of the tournament, and then ultimately ran into the eventual champions of the Atlantic 10 in VCU. Obviously, who just got eliminated yesterday by the Illinois Fighting Illini. However, St. Joseph's won a bunch of games, obviously going into the A10 tournament. They beat Davidson, lose to VCU, and then go into the NIT and go to Fort Collins and beats Colorado State. Leading scorer in that game for the Hawks was Derek Simpson. He's a player who averaged 13.5 per game this year, puts up 13, 9, and 3 against Colorado State. He actually led the Hawks in every single statistical category in that game. This is a second-year player at St. Joseph's after playing his freshman and sophomore seasons over in New Jersey for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Too much talent, though, in California, and again, we're not completely involving ourselves with the points. We're not concerning ourselves with the points. Straight up, who wins the game? California versus St. Joseph's. I think we all know the answer to that question. California should be able to do so with their scoring. Again, I know Day Ames did not have a great game against UIC, but he's still a player who averages 17 points per game. Justin Pippen played well against the Flames. He's put up 14.5 points per game this year. Chris Bell had a great game. Watch out for him again, a 14 points per game scorer. John Camden averages 14. And how about their big Lee Dort? Dort 8-8 this year. He's been a pretty productive 4/5 for the squad. Now only played 14 minutes against UIC, but still there is a lot of depth on this California team, and watch out for the scorers in Ames, Pippen, Bell, and Camden. I think this is automatic here with California and New Mexico. Again, the easier leg for me, or the easier part of the parlay for me, is the Lobos, because again, it's just very difficult to go to the pit and play. California, I mean, it's dependent on the night, how many people are going to come out to Haas Pavilion to watch them play basketball. Is Cal on spring break right now? I think they are. No, wait. No, they're not on spring break. They're on spring break. I think they already had spring break, actually, at Cal. I'm trying to think of their schedule. Because, Cal's one of the only 2 UCs that are on semester. There's going to be nobody at the game, though, regardless. 1,000 people showed up for the UIC game. I don't even know why I'm trying to think, is it spring break? Do they have finals? No students are going to go to these games. Because if you've ever walked around Cal Berkeley, it's depressing. That's all I'll say. Everyone's just losing their mind trying to study for stuff, man. It's something else. There's going to be no environment for that game, but still the team's good, so I'm going to go California. We're not betting on the Bears because of their home court advantage, because they don't have one. Cal -110 with New Mexico parlayed. Let's take it. On to our 4th best bet of the video. Back to the NCAA tournament after, again, a quick detour into the NIT. We look at the UCLA Bruins and the Yukon Huskies. I have Yukon going into the Final Four. Yes, that includes them eventually beating the Duke Blue Devils, who look very beatable. I understand Yukon also looked very beatable in the round of 64 against the Furman Paladins. They survive, and now they get the UCLA Bruins. I'm going Yukon to win and cover the 4.5 points. I think it's actually now a buy low spot on the Huskies. It is. Because they look bad against Furman, they should still beat UCLA. I get it. The Bruins are really good. I really like that team. Donovan Dent, again, if you watched last year on the channel, you know how much I raved about the New Mexico Lobos and Donovan Dent. I liked UCLA as well last year when they still had Adai Mara, but with Tyler Bilodeau as well. I've been huge on the Bruins for a while. I've always watched, looked out for UCLA and obviously paid attention to UCLA. And my thing I've always said about the Bruins is it's always just a matter of time. And last year and this year too, it was just always a matter of time before UCLA completely figured it out and turned into the team that they're supposed to be. And the same thing happened last year too. They were pretty bad in the regular season. Okay. For what UCLA is obviously expecting, they turn it around in the second half of the season. They go on a little bit of a run. They make sure that they are going to the tournament. And last year, well, hell, they were the 7th seed just like they are this year, and they beat Utah State in the first round. It was a blowout last year. They beat the Aggies 72-47, which, by the way, Utah State, the only mid-major left in the tournament at this point. They play Arizona today. We'll get to that at the end of the video, obviously, when we go over the remaining games on the schedule. But anyways, UCLA last year beats Utah State in the first round of the tournament, then run into the Volunteers of Tennessee. Ultimately, again, have their season ended by a 2 seed. It'll probably happen again tonight. They look good against UCF, I will say. A little too close for my liking in terms of how the game played out. Okay? That first half, domination from the Bruins. I mean, everything's going wrong for UCF. John Bowles accidentally batting balls into his own basket, and the Bruins are just taking over the contest. Eric Daly's playing well. Donovan Dent's, again, playmaking, scoring-wise. It's, dependent on the night for Donovan Dent. Again, he doesn't come off the court. He facilitates everything. Did go 4 for 17 from the field for the Bruins, but that's neither here or there. UCLA wins the game by 4 points, despite the fact Tyler Bilodeau does not play that game. Again, Bilodeau and Dent, but obviously Bilodeau's injury is more serious. Tyler Bilodeau got injured at the end of the Big Ten tournament. Obviously did not play their last game against UCF. As of right now, I don't believe Bilodeau's playing. I don't believe so. I need to make sure on that. I have not seen anything that has indicated that he is going to go. Because he was a late scratch going to the UCF game. We thought he was going to play. I've not seen anything saying that Bilodeau is 100% playing. Maybe he goes. I don't really care because I think we're going to be fine regardless. Okay, latest report is that he's questionable. I don't think he's going to play. I really don't think so because the way I approached that going into the UCF game, again, we thought Bilodeau was playing. But the fact is, if he didn't, obviously didn't play that game. It's more serious than they thought it was, and if he's going to miss a game on Friday, he's probably going to miss a game on Sunday too, and they're thinking, okay, well, if we can just beat Yukon, then we're going to get him back for likely next Friday, or 5 days from now. I don't think Bilodeau's going. If he does, okay, again, another big piece, and actually a massive piece playing for the UCLA Bruins, yet I think Yukon will still be okay. But obviously, the Bruins are a much worse team without Bilodeau on the court. Don't get me wrong, still a lot of really good scorers and a lot of good players. Again, it's never been a talent problem with UCLA. It's always been, to me, can they put it together and figure it out? I mean, again, listen to the starting lineup. Even with Bilodeau not on the court, you have so many talented players. Donovan Dent, Sky Clark, Xavier Booker, Trent Perry, and Eric Daly. That's a really good starting 5. Your depth a little bit, not where you want it to be, obviously, because now, you don't have Bilodeau in the lineup at all, but still, that's a really talented starting 5, and they play a good game against UCF. Again, the Knights make a push at the end of it, and I don't love the fact that the Bruins only won by 4, and I know UCF hit some garbage time threes. Well, desperation threes, probably a better way of putting that at the end of the game to really tighten the gap and make it competitive, but ultimately UCLA advances. Okay, I really think UConn gets them here. I did not love UConn's game against Furman and the fact that they gave up 71 points to the Paladins, who, again, could, have the capability of getting hot from beyond the arc. But I didn't like that Furman was able to score 71 points. I didn't like that UConn only beat Furman by 11. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't know if UConn ever trailed in that game. Did they ever trail in that game? Furman led at one point in the game. They led 19-18, 10 minutes into the first half. That's the only time in that entire game that the Paladins led over the UConn Huskies. So, again, it was never in doubt. I just didn't like the fact that, Furman was hanging around that much. Again, you're UConn, right? You're former back-to-back champions. You were just a couple years removed from that, obviously. Didn't love that, but despite that, UConn still puts up 82 points and wins. Again, just like UCLA, there is an abundance of talent on this team. I'm looking at an Alex Caravan, who, again, big difference maker on the squad. When he shows up, he's great. When he doesn't show up, it sucks because you are relying on, a very experienced player and a 4-year starter at UConn, by the way, player who's never come off the bench for the UConn Huskies. You're expecting him to give you at least double digits, at least 13, what his average is, 13 points per game. And what he was doing in the Big East tournament was unacceptable. 7 points in back-to-back games against Georgetown and St. John's. Well, he comes through against Furman. Scores 22 points. That's what you expect at a Caravan in big-time moments. Again, that 3-point ball hits against the Paladins. He goes 4 for 9. Terrace Reed, 31 points on 12 of 15 from the field, and 27 rebounds for Terrace Reed. Yep, 27 rebounds in that game. He was bigger than everybody else in the court. And that, again, Terrace Reed's a problem. He's a big problem. Didn't love the Braylon Mullins game. Braylon Mullins is going to be a lottery pick in the draft this season, purely because of his shooting. Going 0 for 8 from beyond the arc in the NCAA tournament, it's not great. But he is going to be a lottery pick, or at the very least a first-round pick. I don't know, his stock's being affected, obviously, from that game against Furman. I will say this, though, just like how we said about Jacoby Gillespie, Gillespie's not going to have back-to-back games where he shoots that well from beyond the arc going into today's game, obviously, against UVA. I highly doubt Braylon Mullins has back-to-back games where he shoots that poorly. 0 for 8, I don't see it happening again for Braylon Mullins. He is a knockdown shooter. He's had games throughout the season where he's just been so good from three-point range. I know he has struggled a lot actually going into the tournament. I mean, these last games have not been good. 1 for 10 against Marquette, 1 for 6 against Xavier, 2 for 9 against Georgetown, 1 for 5 against St. John's, 0 for 8 against Furman. Eventually, the guy's going to figure it out. And what did I say about Vandy, right? I know the Commodores don't win the game yesterday, but I told you, the X factor was always Tyler Nickel. And the big-time shots Tyler Nickel hits to keep Vandy in the game and keep Vandy within striking distance of Nebraska yesterday was massive. I was just really disappointed. And it sucked, obviously, that Nebraska won the game down the stretch. Phenomenal game yesterday in OKC. But again, Tyler Nickel, man, he was really great yesterday. Just best shooting night in a while. Vandy just couldn't pull it off at the very end. But I do think Braylon Mullins is bound to have a great game at some point here. UCLA is talented, but Yukon's really talented as well. Solo ball, again, an experienced guy who, goes 3 for 12 from the field, scores 9 points against Furman. Again, how many bad games in a row is Solo ball going to have for this team? I think Yukon's got to show up and just completely jump all over UCLA. Again, we'll see about Bilodeau, because Bilodeau is going to make a difference. I get it, but I think UConn's just more talented. And again, both rosters have a lot of star players and a lot of really good players and a lot of future NBA players. I understand. I think UConn's a better team. I think they do get this game here. I think Eric Daly Terrence Reed legitimately makes a big difference in this game. I mean, again, that's the matchup, right? Him and Eric Daly. Because if Bilodeau's out, it's going to be all Eric Daly down low. Daly had a really great game against UCF, 20 points against UCF, 5 rebounds, whatever. What happens when it's, Eric Daly versus Terrence Reed now? And Terrence Reed against 6'11", going on 7-foot center. Dude's a problem. 14-9 this year. Terrence Reed's having a monster tourney so far, albeit just one game. But 27 rebounds in his first tournament game. Come on, 31-27. I get it. It's against a SoCon team, but that's a big deal. I'm going to Yukon here. Give me the Huskies to cover the points. 4.5 for Yukon here with our fourth best bet of the day. Taking down and sending home the UCLA Bruins. On now to our 5th best bet of the video. We go to a money line play with another 5-4 matchup in Tampa, Florida. Late. Why are we starting a game at 9:45 local time in Tampa Bay, Florida? Tampa, Florida. Why? Why is this the late game? Yeah, that doesn't make sense. There's a regional, or there's a game in San Diego. Why didn't they just flop Utah State, Arizona with this? It makes zero sense. Why are the games in Tampa starting so late? And why is the San Diego game starting at 2 and 4 or 2 and 5? Whatever. I'm not at the game. Doesn't matter to me. I'm sure, again, the SEC is still going to show up for that game, obviously. Texas Tech and Bama at 9:45 local time. You know how college basketball works. That thing's getting postponed about 15 minutes. Game's not starting until about 10:05. Bama versus Texas Tech in Tampa. Alabama's the underdog. Absolutely. Absolutely give me Alabama. Was the Hofstra game great? First half, didn't love it. But second half, yeah. Alabama does what they're supposed to do. Hofstra is a good defensive team out the CAA. And again, a good defensive mid-major can only get you so far in a game against an elite team like Alabama. Obviously, the Crimson Tide pull away and ultimately beat the pride of Hofstra by 20 points. 53-point second half out of the Crimson Tide wins them the game. It's the first game they play without Aiden Holloway. Obviously, Holloway has been arrested. What's happened to Aiden Holloway, right? He's been expelled, right? I think. They kicked him off. They kicked him out of the school, I think. They searched his home. Is this guy gonna play college basketball ever again? Okay. Oh, he's released from prison. Okay, he was released from prison with a $5,000 bond. He's scheduled to be charged with first-degree possession of. Can I say this word on YouTube? I think I can. Snoop Dogg is big on this. For personal use, Class C felony and a failure to fix a tax stamp, which is also a felony. Following his arrest, Holloway would be suspended. Okay. So I guess he's out of prison, out of jail. But obviously he's not playing basketball right now. Is he going to get a chance to play college basketball ever again? I don't know. He does have one more year of eligibility left. Why do I feel like Aiden Holloway is going to find himself at Troy next season and drop 25 points per game? he's going to get stuck in the Sun Belt because nobody will take him, or he'll end up at like Florida International and he'll go out and just dominate the Conference USA. I just have a feeling. Or maybe he's done. I don't know. I don't know how serious this is going to be. Again, I don't know how those, possession things work in Alabama. I have no idea. Anyways, Bama's without Aiden Holloway. Again, that's a huge blow to their team. I get it. Holloway was a phenomenal player this year for the Crimson Tide. Was their second leading scorer, obviously behind Philon. My goodness. Aiden Holloway, 17 points per game. Obviously, LeBarion Philon, 22 points this season. Latrell Wrightsell, average 13. Amari Allen, average 12. Aiden Sherrill, average 11. They have a lot of really good scorers in Alabama. And that's the thing. Is the Aiden Holloway loss massive? It is. He was their best three-point shooter. He's a 44% three-point shooter this year. Him no longer being with the program, it absolutely sucks. And he had a really good SEC tournament. Really, carried this team, through parts of the season. I get it. Still a lot of guys who can score for this team. It's not like Alabama is running out of depth, right? Philon's still here. He puts up 29 points against Hofstra, right? 3 for 7 from beyond the arc. Latrell Wrightsell can step up into a big scoring role if you need him, right? Aiden Sherrill can hoop. 15 boards against Hofstra. He's going to spread the court, space the court. It's a 6'10 stretch. Bama's going to be fine. In terms of, this game against Texas Tech. In the future, they're probably going out next round. But this one, they should be able to survive, right? They should. And Texas Tech's good. And again, both these teams are missing star players, right? Aiden Holloway out for, reasons of that he can control. JT Toppin out because of reasons he couldn't control. JT Toppin, obviously, out for the season. Got injured in the Arizona State game over in Tempe. Texas Tech's without their star center. Alabama without one of their guards. I will say, I believe the loss of JT Toppin is way more impactful than the loss of Aiden Holloway. And I said this when I was initially going over the bracket again last Monday, or I guess this Monday, it was just this week. Regardless, the impact on both these teams, Holloway's a really great player for Alabama, but there's other guys who can provide and get you big-time shots and can score for you for the Crimson Tide. For Texas Tech, they've been making do without JT Toppin, and obviously they beat Akron, which we expected, obviously. They beat the Zips by 20 points. But you're not going to get that same impact on a game that JT Toppin's going to get you. And again, I'll say this. Even if, throw Aiden Holloway back on Bama for this hypothetical. If Aiden Holloway's playing for Alabama and JT Toppin's playing for Texas Tech, I'm taking Texas Tech. Because of the way JT Toppin rebounds, and because of the fact that Alabama is an awful rebounding team. Tech's not a bad rebounding team without Toppin, but they're nowhere near, obviously, what they were when Toppin was on the court. Again, what they are missing with JT Toppin injured, 22 points and 11 rebounds per game. That's the 11th most points per game in college basketball and the 7th most rebounds per game in college basketball. That's gone. JT Toppin's no longer providing that, obviously, because of the torn ACL. And again, that absolutely sucks. It's a damn shame. It's horrible. But that's what you don't get anymore out of Toppin. Is Toppin going to come back in redshirt next year, or is he going to the pros? I don't know what he's going to do. He's still a junior. Obviously, he's had a great collegiate career. Not sure. He might just redshirt and come back. I don't know. Anyways, that being gone for Texas Tech is absolutely massive. And yes, Aiden Holloway's a really good player. Aiden Holloway can hit big-time shots. Yes, he was the best three-point shooter on this Alabama team this year. I understand. The loss of Toppin's way more impactful. And again, Tech gets by Akron, but we saw, with JT Toppin on the court in the Big 12, in their Big 12 games, obviously they did struggle a little bit. They lost to TCU at home. They lost at Brigham Young. They lost to Iowa State, obviously, in the tournament by 22 points. And I have been saying, Tech is a little underrated out that Toppin because, sure, their guard play is really good, 100%. I've been, waving the flag for these guards, obviously, in both Christian Anderson and Donovan Atwell, right? These are two guys. Anderson averaged 19 points per game this season. Donovan Atwell averaged 13.5 points per game this year. Those guys are great. The matchup, though, against Alabama, both these teams are going to be running all game long. Both these teams are going to be shooting. I think Alabama beats them in a sprint. I think they do. I think they beat them in a high-paced game. And something that has always concerned Alabama all year long has been the fact they haven't been able to rebound. And rebounding, they have been really awful. Again, the game that immediately comes to mind is the Tennessee game in Knoxville. Bama comes from behind and ends up barely winning that game. They come back from behind and just steal it from Tennessee, winning the game by 2. How many offensive rebounds did Tennessee have in that basketball game? I'll give you the exact number. It is awful. And that has been a theme all year long for Bama. That's not just a Tennessee thing. Yes, the Volunteers are a great rebounding team as a whole. But as a whole, Tennessee out-rebounds Bama 47-30 in that game. Tennessee had 25 offensive rebounds compared to Alabama. Tennessee had more offensive rebounds against Bama and Knoxville than Bama had defensive rebounds in the game. That's absurd. And what's even more absurd is the fact that the Crimson Tide still won the game. It was crazy. Legitimately, one of the crazier games I've seen all year long because of the fact of the matter was Tennessee should have won the basketball game. We had the points on Bama, but I mean, I was thinking, oh my goodness, Bama's going to cover. And then all of a sudden, wait, they're going to win? It was insane. Again, though, if Toppin's on the court, I'm immediately concerned about that from Bama. With no Toppin, yeah, again, like, Lawan Watts will grab rebounds, I guess, but they're playing smaller, obviously, with Toppin not in the court. Well, you play Luke Bemboye, I believe is how you pronounce his name, their sophomore out of London. He's not bad, he just doesn't play that many minutes. He'll start, but against Akron, and I know Akron plays small, so, Texas Tech basically, combats that with just not playing their center. And Lawan Watts can function as a 5. He's like 6'8", obviously former Washington State Cougar. They take Luke Bemboye off the court, who was a starter last year at VCU. He only plays 14 minutes, and they just go small. I can't imagine they're going to go small against Alabama, and they're just going to hope that Bemboye and Lawan Watts are able to get them rebounds. Yeah, they'll probably still win the glass battle, but I just don't think it's going to be that one-sided. Like, again, it's going to be dependent on what Bama can do with Amari Allen. Amari Allen, who averages 32 minutes per game. 29 minutes per game, had 32 minutes specifically against Hofstra. 11-7 this year, or 12-7 this year for Amari Allen, freshman out of Green Bay. Again, not a huge guy, 6'8". Still, I think he's going to be able to hold his own in the paint against either... Well, again, I just don't know how much they're going to play Bemboye. Bemboye is not bad, but again... When he plays, he doesn't play big minutes. Even with VCU last year, started for VCU, only averaged 17 minutes per game. And he's come off the bench like half the season for Texas Tech this year, and he's still only averaging 17 minutes per game. So they're not going to play him deep into games. He fouls a lot. Bemboye, pretty much every single game he plays, will foul out. I mean, hell, Iowa State game fouled out. TCU game, 5 fouls, fouled out. BYU game, had 4 fouls. Only 1 foul against Iowa State. Akron game, 4 fouls. They can't play him for extended periods of time because he will foul. He will send you to the line. Again, athletic dude, can slam it down, obviously can get rebounds, but again, the trouble is keeping him on the court. So if I'm Alabama, I'm attacking Bemboye. Obviously, again, we're still shooting the 3-point ball like we can, but get him out the game. Force the rebounding matchup to be Lawan Watts and Amari Allen, something that I think Amari Allen can be able to win. And, Texas Tech's got some other bigs, like they were going to play Josiah Mosley, but Mosley, again, had a good game against Akron. Again, not as tall and not as, I wouldn't say, Mosley's a good rebounder, but again, like not a JT Toppin, and, we're not concerned about the height like we are with Bemboye. I'm okay with Alabama in this spot. I really am. Again, Philon, great season. 22 points per game. Aiden Holloway being gone sucks, but Wright, Sell, Amari Allen, there's still a lot of guys who can score for this team. Aiden Sherrill. I'm cool with the Crimson Tide here. I am. And at plus money as well. It's like the Virginia game. I don't think they should be at plus money, but I'll absolutely take it. On top of that, too, Bama is the high seed. High seeds have had a lot of success in this tournament. I understand it's 4 versus 5, but still, I'm going to go with the Alabama Crimson Tide to beat the Texas Tech Red Raiders at plus 100 to close the best bets portion of the video. So again, that will do it for our best bets. Now, let's talk about the remaining tournament games with both the NCAA tournament and obviously the NIT as well. So here we go. Oh, black screen of, okay, here we go. There we go. Let's do it. Miami versus Purdue. Early game, I like Miami to cover the points. I can't tell you with a straight face they'll beat Purdue because I don't believe they're going to beat Purdue. Obviously, Miami in their last matchup beats Missouri, and obviously Purdue beats Queens 104-71. I like Purdue to win this basketball game. Obviously, Braden Smith at the helm. The big play at Purdue, I think, is going to really impact what Miami does with Renew and Uday. We always talk about it all the time with Miami. It's their percentage. It's the percentage they shoot from beyond the arc that really dictates how they play. They're not going to shoot the most threes, but it's how do they, those limited shots they take. Really great victory for them on the road against Mizzou, essentially. They'll get Purdue here. I think it's the end of the line ultimately for the Hurricanes. I like the Boilermakers to win the game, but I do like Miami to cover the 7.5 points. Kentucky versus Iowa State. Again, I said at the beginning of the video, flip a coin on the spread. Iowa State should win. Spread-wise, I can't pick a side. Again, I've been so hesitant on Iowa State, though. They don't shoot free throws well, and yes, they blow out the OVC champions and the Tennessee State Tigers. Whoa, shocker. I should have made that a best bet. I've been talking smack all year long on Tennessee State and the OVC, and I should have just said, Iowa State. Well, I did say Iowa State by 35 points, and they did it. I should have made it a best bet. Whatever. They're not playing Tennessee State anymore. You're playing Kentucky. Kentucky, obviously, that thriller against Santa Clara where the refs robbed the Santa Clara Broncos. Despite that, again, here they are against Iowa State. Iowa State should win. It'll be close. Spread is really close for me. If you had to force me on a pick, -4.5 for Iowa State. They should win the game. I would not bet it in the slightest. Not even parlaying the money line. No, don't touch it. We talked about these games. Obviously, we've got Kansas to beat St. John's. We got UVA to beat Tennessee. Florida versus Iowa. I'm going to go with Florida to win and cover. They're just that good, at least right now. And my original prediction in this tournament was, okay, well, they're just going to run into Vandy again, and Vandy's going to beat them. Can Nebraska get Florida next round? I don't think so. Maybe. The team that's going to have to beat Florida is going to beat Illinois, and that's okay. To be the man, you got to beat the man. That's what Illinois will do in the Elite Eight. But as of now, Iowa versus Florida. We told you Bennett Sturts will buy Iowa a game and win Iowa a game in this tournament. I didn't tell you he was going to buy him two. Their trial period's over now in the NCAA tournament. With all due respect, I don't want to be disrespectful there. Florida is going to beat Iowa. Get them out of here. Gators just that good. We'll see what Nebraska does against them. Arizona versus Utah State. This is the last hurrah for the mid-majors. Can Utah State survive? Probably not. I think Arizona probably covers the spread here. Utah State barely gets by in their last tournament game, obviously, in that 86-76 victory over Villanova. Arizona beat one last time this season. The Fins Up, the LIU Sharks. A dominant performance for Arizona. Again, you'll see a next year Fins Up. But Arizona is just that good. Didn't love the extended runs Villanova had in that game, despite the fact, Nova's coach is saying he's going to fire all of his assistants during the game, and they go on runs, and they're up by 10 points in the second half against Utah State. Again, credit to the Aggies for dealing with that adversity and coming back in the game and ultimately winning, but Arizona's just another monster, and the way this tournament keeps on playing out, no one seed's losing yet. I hope one of them does, I'll be honest with you, just so we can have something from March, but I don't see Arizona losing to Utah State. And the other tournament games we already went over. UCLA beats Yukon beats UCLA, and Bama's going to beat Texas Tech. On to the NIT. We already went over, right? We took New Mexico to beat George Washington and Cal to beat St. Joseph's, so we're just going to go to this one now. Albuquerque region is done. We have New Mexico taking on California. In terms of the Auburn region, Liberty versus Nevada, we took Liberty to cover, didn't go our way. I don't think they covered the spread, did they? Again, it was not a best bet, so I wasn't paying that close attention to the spread on that game. But what was the spread on that? 7.5. Yeah, they did not cover. Anyways, so Nevada's on now to the championship, or the regional final against the winner of Auburn versus Seattle. This matchup should be interesting. I will tell you, Seattle on the points is phenomenal. I love plus 13.5 on Seattle. They probably won't win, but I hope they do. Seattle can hang. Trust me, they can. I worry about them size-wise. Like, is Will Heimbrough and Dan going to be able to keep up with Murphy and all these, and Keyshawn Hall for Auburn? I don't know. But plus 13.5 for the Red Hawks, sure, sign me up. Auburn, though, likely wins. Albuquerque region obviously went over it. Tulsa region. Tulsa versus UNLV. Obviously, the Rebels are still around after their victory against UC Irvine. Tulsa, in their first-round matchup, obviously beat Stephen F. Austin in that big overtime thriller. I like UNLV on the points. I do. Tulsa's good. Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn's really good, man. Tyron Jones, Howie Fleming. I like UNLV on the points. Dare I say? I'll do it. UNLV is going to beat Tulsa outright. And then in the other matchup, Wichita State versus Oklahoma State, I don't think we're going to get that Tulsa versus Oklahoma State matchup. I think Oklahoma State barely gets by Wichita. I think they do. They're at home. Again, Wichita first matchup barely gets by Wyoming, and Oklahoma State barely gets by Davidson. I'm going to go with OK State, though, to barely get by the Shockers in this second-round matchup. And the final regional, the Winston-Salem region, Dayton goes on the road. They get kicked out of their gym because of the first four. They get kicked out of their gym again in the second round because of a high school basketball tournament. And they somehow, not that crazy of a game, they go into Wilmington and beat the Seahawks of UNC Wilmington. So will they be going to Wake Forest, to Winston-Salem, or are they going to get kicked out of their own gym again if they have to play Illinois State? I don't think they're going to have to concern themselves about their gym being open or not, their arena being open or not, because I believe Wake Forest is going to put a beating on Illinois State. Respect to the Redbirds out of the Missouri Valley, but the Wake Forest Demon Deacons are just the better basketball team. They beat Navy by 10, and Illinois State did dominate Kent State. We were wrong on that one, but Wake's a team in the ACC, and they should be able to easily control this game, giving us a Wake Forest versus Dayton quarterfinal regional matchup for our now final 8 games, and final 8 teams in 4 games, obviously in the NIT. Folks, that'll do it for our college basketball best bets and our tournaments previews. Again, no college basketball best bets, unfortunately, tomorrow because there are no games. So we'll be back on Tuesday for the beginning of the Elite Eight in the NIT. So make sure to join us for that. We'll have 2 games on Tuesday, so it'll be somewhat of a shorter video. And then obviously same thing on Wednesday before we get back to the madness on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Folks, thank y'all for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you disagree with any of the picks. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.